Hello everyone and welcome back to our course. In this lecture, we are going to get started learning HTML for web development. Join me at the website jessiter.com where you can code for free online and you can build websites for free online. There are other websites like jsbin.com, and you can also use a code editor on your computer like a Visual Studio Code, or even just a text editor as long as you save the file as an HTML file with no special formatting. Here, jessiter.com is convenient because you can put JavaScript into one tab for the functionality of your site, HTML in another tab for the content of your site, and CSS in another tab for the styling of the site. So this is a great place for beginners to try out building websites. If you make a change in the tab, then the change will be reflected in the browser portion of this website. The browser is a preview of what your website will look like. In this lecture, we're going to get started writing some HTML. The HTML defines what is on your page. The first link that you should have is the doc type tag for your HTML file. This creates your first HTML tag, which uses the alligator brackets or the greater than and less than sign to create a new element in HTML. In this case, our element is specifying the document type of this document. So we're saying this document type is HTML. So everything below should be read as HTML, which is a markup language that stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And HTML allows you to define what elements are on your page. So it's slightly different from a coding language because it's a markup language, but it's used to define elements on a web page. As well, after the document type tag, you need to put the HTML tag opening and closing. So here we have an example of a tag that requires an opening tag and a closing tag, which uses the / to specify that it's a closing tag. This opening tag states that anything inside of these tags should be read as HTML. And we have the opening tag and the closing tag to define where the HTML will be written. Anything outside will be considered not part of this tag body. Next up, after the HTML tag, you will typically see a head tag opening and closing. In this head tag, you will put metadata. For example, a meta tag to specify the character set to UTF-8. This here is a tag that doesn't need a closing tag, just an opening tag, and it specifies the character type that you're using. UTF-8 is the English keyboard character set. So these define what characters will be used on this web page. And typically the most popular one is UTF-8. Another popular line that goes in the head tag is another meta tag to specify more metadata with a name of viewport and a content of width equals device width. This is for responsivity, or making sure that your website looks good across different devices like a small phone or a large computer. So we're specifying the name of the viewport and we want to set the width of the viewport to equal the device width. So this means we will adjust our viewport to each device, whether it's a small phone or a large computer. Often in the head tag as well, you will see a title opening and closing tag. This title is what is going to be shown in the browser in the tab. So you will typically put your website name here, such as Amazing Product. So this title doesn't appear in the view, but it would appear in the browser tab as the tab name. And setting a title and also a description is useful for SEO. So what you put in your HTML and how you build your HTML can affect your SEO, your search engine ranking on Google. Right, so this is an introduction to some HTML tags. Later, we'll talk about styling to style elements on the page, which you can also put into the head tag with the style tag and then put all of your styles here. or you can just put them into the CSS tab on JSON. Okay, so we have the head tag so far, which is for metadata and styling. After the head tag, you put the body tag, opening and closing. This is where you put all of the elements that you want to be actually seen on the website. Let's put our first element on the page together. For example, a paragraph. Here I'm going to use an opening and closing paragraph tag. And in between the two paragraphs tags, the opening and the closing, I'm going to put amazing product, some text. You'll notice in my browser, I can now see that text that says amazing product. That comes directly from this paragraph tag. So this P is recognized by HTML to symbolize a paragraph. Another option is to build headings, which will be larger than paragraphs. For example, a heading 1, the largest of all headings. And let's say we want here amazing opportunity. Okay, so a heading 1 means you're creating a heading, so it's going to be larger and bolded with the default styling. So if you were writing an article, you might have several headings. For each heading, you might have a paragraph underneath and another heading and a paragraph underneath. Using headings is also good for SEO because headings are treated as more important in search engine rankings than paragraphs, so you want to put your keywords into headings. You can use more than just a heading 1, you can use a heading 2 to build a slightly smaller or less important heading. And heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6 are all available as well. So each heading HTML tag type has different default styling applied to it. For example, you can see that a heading 2 is slightly larger and more bolded than a heading 3. But other than these default stylings, you can also apply your own styling to content. So join me in the next lecture where we'll look at how we can style some of the elements on a page. If you liked this video, then go to training.mammoethinteractive.com. We have tons more content on blockchain, web development, machine learning, and much more. We also have a membership for just $19 a month where you can get access to our 372 course bundle and counting.